Ladies and gentlemen, we are back at the West Ham United Supporters Club, Irons United. We've got some special guests. Let's swing round.
Right, welcome back to Irons United, and we've got a couple of celebrity guests with us, apart from myself, that is.
Who are ya?
Whetstone and Nigel Khan. Welcome, lads. How are you?
From more than just the podcast.
From more than just a podcast. Talk about
More than
promote
just a
your own.
podcast.
So, what do you think of the game today?
Look, I thought it was a lot better because he's trying to.
Loves a pie
advertise
mash.
his pie mash stall. I thought it was a lot better. Everton were there for the taking, and it was a which team is shitter in the Premier League.
Yep.
And I thought we were slightly less shit than Everton, and I thought they were there for the taking. And Ancelotti reminded me a little bit of Pellegrini. You know, he's come for his last little job.
I'm actually surprised.
Ladies and gentlemen, that was David Wigwam being the normal nuisance that he
Is
is.
he calling us?
He was.
Are we back on?
We're back on.
Right.
Who's David Wigwam?
He's trying to buy us a drink.
He likes to smell pants, David Wigwam. You got to be careful with him.
I was really surprised. I thought Everton were really going to come at us today, and I was quite surprised at just how luckless they were.
Well, they didn't have Sigerson, did they? They didn't have Ricardo.
They didn't, but we didn't take advantage of that, did we?
No, we didn't.
Nigel, we didn't.
I'm very glad you asked, Steve. That, aren't you?
Personally, I thought defensively both teams gave the ball away a lot. Offensively, both teams weren't really on the game. It reminded me of the old days when we used to have a lot of higher score draws. We had a lot of 2-2 draws in the 90s. And Sinclair turned up. I mean, for me, I think you're wrong about Ancelotti. I think he'll turn it around. He's not even bought a player yet. I mean, Moyes is obviously.
Yeah, it weren't me.
But why did I look at you? I was looking at Arvid.
It was me. It was me.
So I think both teams need a bit of a change around, but I can't see anyone coming in January.
Can't blame the ball for today, though, can you?
Well, we'll get on to the board in a minute, shall we?
Noah's on the live. He's just said, if we don't sign 3 players, we are fucked.
Who said that?
Noah on the live.
Noah?
On the live, yeah.
From his boat?
He's holding back the ball.
More chance of us sinking than him.
A right back, a midfielder, and a striker is what Moyes said.
Aston Villa, Bournemouth, and Norwich are going down.
No, he won't.
Right. Well, this is, I mean,
We've got no scouts.
there isn't an awful lot to talk about today's game, so let's talk about the transfer window. Now, we talked earlier,
Transfer window
and
updates.
you suggested that we're not getting anything.
No, what I said was it's going to be very difficult. So what my senior sources say is that Moyes, Dithering Moyes, will want to get hungrier and younger players. He wants a right back, he wants a midfielder, be quiet for a minute, and he wants a striker. However, we haven't got any scouting. Well, we've got one scout. Yeah, Jordan Miles.
On the screen.
Big him up. So I don't know what else we can do.
Like that.
He says he only wants people if they can improve the squad. I don't think
Someone
we've
said
got the
they're getting a
money.
stick
I don't think you're going to get youngsters in the January transfer window. So the chances of signing us anyone good is nothing. And you even agree with this. You don't sign players for the sheer hell of it.
Yeah,
You
you
need anyone in. That's what got Hugo in.
You get nothing in
We need to
January.
get quality, and you don't get good
You
quality.
don't waste your
January.
money in January. I think you're
You
asked.
don't- okay,
You've held up because he's gone Dithering Moyes.
Dithering.
Straight away.
Oh,
Yeah.
oh.
Undermining.
Undermining.
All right.
Undermining.
So, okay, let's assume we're not going to buy any players. Is there any... What exactly? Is there any
18 months
opportunity?
later.
Well, and we know why it's the 18 months.
Yeah.
But is there going to be a chance of getting any loan signing ins at all this window? At all? I mean, Barkley. I mean, we talked earlier about
so
Barkley.
Chelsea have said no twice, and so there is interest, but unless they bring in a replacement, which I don't know if
Do
Chelsea
we need a
are gonna do.
midfielder? I mean, for
Goodness
me.
me, don't we?
Are you
Are
undermining
thinking
the
that
manager?
we don't need a midfielder?
The manager says we need a
Still,
I'll tell you-
people were saying you need to adjust the screen, mate. It's still in, yeah, it's still in landscape and portrait mode.
Oh,
Just
way.
Amateurs.
That way.
Stelios, you only have one job.
Right, this just means you're all going to have to get in tight. Oh, it won't even go because he's got it on charge. I hope no one's got motion sickness.
Yeah. You only have one job.
Oh, I got it.
What channel are we on?
Hang on, he's working it out.
United. Is that what they call it? But this is a whole new level, isn't it?
This makes us look professional.
You don't even need to see him because you know their voices, you know it's good.
You only have one job.
It's not his fault, he's Greek.
Yeah.
Well, I've got an idea. If you take that, right? Right, hang on, I've got it, right? If we carry on, I'm going to do this, right? Ladies and gentlemen, live from the supporters club in Austria.
Oh, right, yeah, okay, it's all right now. It's all right now, we're back on and it's apparently all right. I mean, what a ridiculous position to hold it.
Amateurs.
That poor sod
He's having a
sitting in Australia
Amateurs.
trying to get his feel of West Ham content.
Okay.
7 viewers must be
Right.
furious.
How dare you? We got 9 now.
He's now flipping this laying down.
There's no way you got
His legs
9.
over the banisters.
You're not going to want one more than us.
Legs over the banisters, laying back.
Right, so where were we? So are we going to get any loan signings in, yes or no?
No.
Not even any loan signings? Fucking hell.
We could get
I
some
know
loans.
what he knows because he tells me everything. Don't listen to him, people.
Look, anything's possible, but you guess what? It's going to go down to deadline transfer day. Remember to watch us and follow Clara and you on transfer
Oh
day.
my
It's
good
gonna be
grief.
really
Hang
exciting
on.
day.
All we're doing is promoting everybody else's fucking
And
channels.
Don't forget pies as well.
Right, go on, promote your fucking pie channel, go on.
Southwark in the market, Saturday morning, 9:30 till 2 o'clock. Unless West Ham's at home, then we shut up early because I've got to get to the game.
They are good pies.
Nice pies.
Well, that one myself is a good pies.
Right.
But look, you
I'm
know,
drunk, so
it
we'll-
will come down to the wire, Stelios, being serious. What happens on transfer deadline day is a lot of moves, it's like a domino effect. A lot of people go out and
Right,
therefore
sure.
if loan's going to happen.
We know this, but realistically,
Yeah.
are there going to be any new faces in at West Ham this winter?
Dithering Dave needs to.
Sullivan or Gold.
Dithering Dave will need to make a decision.
Which ditherings? As
David Moyes.
Nigel just asked. So what? We could end up with another Hugill, yeah?
No, I don't think so, because I
Depends
think.
who his
But
brother's
there's
got
always
in
a
his books.
possibility.
Oh, sorry.
Look, I got
Swear on
told
this, it's all right.
Joe Allen is unlikely to come. That should reassure your 9 viewers.
We're up to 14, mate. We're up to
Less
14.
than 5 minutes to 11 o'clock at night on the 31st of January.
All right.
West Ham will not be-
Sunday Berg.
No, not happening.
Okay.
Danny Ings.
Danny
Not in a
Ings.
million years.
All right. Who else are we thinking of?
Ross
Frank
Barkley, ain't happening.
Barkley ain't happening.
No.
Frank Kessie, Milan, ain't happening. Was that ever going to happen?
Anyone
No.
from Chelsea?
No, never didn't think so
More
either.
chance of Frank Lampard.
All right, go on, Dan. Ask questions, mate.
Last questions. All right, let's go back to the game. The highlight of the game was a Yeti coming on.
It's a Yeti.
Is it a
Yes,
Yeti
it is.
Or a Jetty?
Yeah, is it?
No, it's a Yeti.
They do say a
It's
Yeti.
a Yeti.
I would not
See,
roll the boat if
A
I had to walk
Yeti
across him to get on
is
it.
like the abominable
No,
snowman.
it's a Yeti.
Yeah.
Now that is a Yeti.
But a
if
jetty
you
is
go by
somewhere
the
where
name.
you moor a boat,
A jetty
so,
is somewhere
yeah,
where you
yeah.
moor a boat. So you got
Which you could moor your boat at South African and
Now,
enjoy
we
his
might-
lovely pie mash.
He might go out on loan.
Who?
A Yeti.
So that means we've got to get someone back in.
Yeah.
He
we're
was our
looking for a
best
striker.
player. He was only on the pitch 3 minutes.
Right, okay.
Alaire should have
All
put it
right.
away. And
Here's a question. Is Lanzini going this winter?
No, not this winter.
But he's going in the summer.
David Moyes, different Dave, says no first team player. He will not sanction the sale of any first.
But hang on, we're getting rid of Roberto.
On loan. I said the sale. I didn't say the loan. I said the sale. Listen to my words.
I wonder how we're
Very
getting rid of Roberto
carefully.
though.
Well,
How are we
Alaves
getting rid of
must be
Alaves.
We're probably paying 30% of his wages or something.
No, we're paying 75%.
Oh, there we go.
Fucking.
Yeah, look,
75% of his
there's
£30,000
exclusives I've led into.
a week wages we are paying.
That's about as shit and exclusive as.
We've still had a good deal, to be fair.
Now you know why X has got twice as many followers as Sean.
But hang on, doesn't he get his information from Sean?
No, don't be ridiculous.
You lying. All right.
Oh, he said the C word, lazy.
No, didn't say it. Hold firm. Okay. Any more questions?
No.
Any more questions?
We don't want to talk about the protest or the board, so...
All right. Okay. You've just mentioned the protest. Tell me about.
Oh, I thought I got away with it.
Tell me about the protest. What happened today?
Well, I walked past the protest and
We were past it.
befriended...
He wasn't with him, he was walking past
I was
it.
aloft with the old bill, so I talked to the commander for British Transport Police and Met Police. And I know there's been different estimates. Look, unless you count the whole crowd, you don't know.
Let's go by what Smiley said.
What British Transport Police told to me, and then backed up by Met Police, was 700 to 800 people at the height of the protest. It tailed off towards the end of the protest to 300 to 400, and I was looking at the end, and there seemed to be about 100 people left by 2 o'clock.
What does that say, Sean? On
I
a
don't
on
know.
a serious
I
note,
don't
know.
what does that actually say
I don't
about the whole
know. I
about
don't
this
know.
whole
Does
movement?
it say it's organised? Does it say it was a success? What were they looking for? What was the purpose? What do they hope to achieve? I don't know. Look, democracy. We live in a democracy where protest is allowed. And, you know, it wasn't violent. No one got threatened. And they protest. What have they achieved? That's for someone else to answer, not
All
for
right,
me.
Nigel. You know, I put a post up the other day on Facebook. You know, saying that protest should have happened before we left the Boleyn, and I know you're a massive advocate of that. Before we even moved out of our old stadium. So, what do you think about the whole thing?
It's difficult for me because people go, "Oh, no one protested
You
before
weren't
we
supposed
left."
to have your beer because unless your wife sees you with a beer.
But
Sorry.
I did protest outside the ground. I paid £200 for a flag, say no to Olympic Stadium, which got banned by the club from being inside the stadium. I joined the SAB and I stood in front of David Gold and told him what I thought of him, and Karen Brady the same.
I was there.
Sean was there. But they were going to destroy what was the club, basically. And I don't want to say I pre-warned people what they were walking into.
And you was wrong, because look at us now.
yeah,
Hey,
all
look
right.
at
that
it.
screen.
Look, going
Look
over.
at the
Look at
biggest
that
screen in
amazing
Europe.
stand.
Look at that.
Biggest screen in
How do you
Europe.
feel about
He's
that?
see how wrong you were.
Yeah, bigger than
I'll
Tottenham's
tell you what,
apparently.
Nigel loves this stadium because he doesn't just come to football. He comes to music. He comes to baseball. He can't keep away from this bloody stadium. He bloody loves it.
Weird, because he wanted to do extracurricular activities
Yeah,
outside
all
of
right.
football.
So I've seen Guns N' Roses, Foo Fighters, and the Rolling Stones here, and I tell you what, they were damn fine concerts.
And the baseball.
But as a concert,
Were they better than
I came
Lanzini?
to the baseball, and
Were
I
they
sat
better than Lanzini?
very near the front, and I had a lovely view of the baseball, and it was. To be fair, it weren't that great for baseball because it's too small as a baseball stadium. Hence the bloody high
Seats were too
scores.
close to the pitch.
No, it's the high scores that recurred as a football stadium. Well, we all know that it's not
So-
a football stadium. But going back to the protest, I think it's hard for me because obviously, for me, if the protest was solely Gold and Sullivan out, and it was the start of a regular thing, then yeah, it was something I could believe in. But they say they want to sit down with the Cambridge United say they want to sit down with the club, have meaningful dialogue. They're members of the Football Supporters Federation, which for me is a waste of time. I've not seen anything really. But they do or achieve here. But how are you going to walk into a club when realistically we all know the people you're talking to, you want to leave the club?
Well, you say like this, you put
what-
on the agenda.
why would
It's on
they
the
invite-
agenda.
why
The
would they
agenda
invite
item
you in
number
in the
one.
first place?
We want you to fuck off. Response to agenda item number one. Well, we don't want to. End of meeting.
Yeah.
The one thing I'll
Well,
say
we
about
want you to fuck
today is
off.
that
We want to come and talk to you about it.
let's say
no.
they've got 1,000 people turn up. Gold and Sullivan can point to the fact they've got probably 55,000 season ticket holders, of which 1,000, they've got more than that, of which 1,000 turn up today. So therefore, 53,000 people didn't protest, they will see that as a victory.
I will go a bit further.
And that's why I
actually.
think Hammers United were a bit too quick to call this.
I'll
I
go a
think they
bit
could have
further.
built up a bit more support.
I think half the
Go on,
people who went
Stokes.
today didn't actually have a season ticket. I think half the people who came today have already given up their season ticket. You know, I'm
Hold
not
up, hold
calling
up.
him out, but Graham Howlett was one of the speakers.
Yeah,
He
but
doesn't
hold
come
up,
to games
hold up,
anymore.
hold up, but
And
these
there are
are
other people
people-
there who don't go because they don't like the stadium.
hold up.
And therefore they came and they protested, but they don't actually go to
So
games
what?
anymore.
They've got every right to protest, and not only that, these are the type of people that will return when they've left.
Will they though?
So actually,
Not if
yeah,
they
I
don't like the
believe they
stadium.
will. No, I believe they will. They will return. A lot of people will not come to this stadium because they are the people that brought
So
us
the
here.
bottom line here is
What
you
have
would
the
sup-
Romans ever done
Yeah,
for us?
exactly.
bottom line you'd support it if the board left, but let's be really realistic. They're not selling up, are
No.
they?
No.
You know,
Not
they're
for
not.
another few years, not until they've bought the actual stadium, so they can sell everything as a whole.
The thing is,
Man,
this
that's
club,
fucking fortune.
the fan base is divided, and it will forever be divided. Why they own the club? A new owner gets a clean slate, and that's the thing. Until they leave, every time we go through a bad spell, we will lose 8 or 9 games. People will point fingers, going, "You moved us here for a better life," and they.
All right, let me play
careful what you
let me play devil's advocate here. We get new owners in, Red Bull, let's say, for example, and we lose 10 games in a row. Are we going to protest against the new owners?
Yeah,
No,
too
because
right.
they didn't move us here.
Mate, we're,
Oh,
really?
that's flimsy.
But I'll tell you
In
something,
my respect.
Don't think. I went to Germany. I've got friends in Germany, and I went to Germany in December and watched 3 games of football. And what I discovered is the German football fans detest what Red Bull have done over there. So I would never want Red Bull to come over here and buy West Ham. We're not a brand. You don't want to be Red Bull West Ham because that's what they've done. Red Bull Leipzig, Red Bull in
But Red
Austria,
Bull Leipzig
Salzburg.
is
Yeah.
a model
We're at
that
the state
David
of West Ham,
Moyes
London.
says he
No,
wants
the
to do.
model, it's a model of the way they want to run a football
Yeah.
club, but you don't want
You
Red Bull
buy
to run.
players from
It's a
League One and
brand.
League Two.
We'll just
right?
become another part of a
You
brand.
buy players from. Look, the problem at the moment is this is not sustainable. Spending 45 million on a player like Allaire is not sustainable. We're going to announce a lot in the next few weeks of 27 million pounds. That is not sustainable. The owners don't have enough money. The quicker we get to realisation we're a mid-table team who are never going to be in the Champions League, we're unlikely to win an FA Cup, the quicker we come to realisation what our place is. In my
Well-
lifetime, I don't think I'm going to see.
We're the
West Ham in
18th. We're the 18th richest league in Europe, and we're the only league, and we're the only team that's not been in the Champions League out of the 20.
Out of that 20,
Hang on,
Out of
hang
that
on a minute.
we're
20.
the only people in their history to have never won a league title.
Hang on a minute, though. The Deloitte Money League is just about turnover. 190 million means nothing unless you're making lots of profit. We're making a loss, so you make 190 million, but if you spend more than that, you're making a loss.
Sean, I've got to be honest with you, mate. How the hell are we making a loss?
We're making
we,
a
we,
loss.
we don't have hardly any overheads at all at this stadium. You know,
money at people like Hernandez,
Well,
and Andy Carroll.
our wage bill is massive, absolutely massive. We are paying money, interest. We're paying money. What else are we paying for? We're paying for, you know, the likes
off
of Allaire
managers.
and paying off managers.
just had a comment coming up saying, what was the point of moving to the new stadium then?
No
It-
point.
Well,
No point.
it's
No,
worth-
shut up, you've had your turn.
Because the new owners
And this is
got
the-
millions and
this is the
millions to
thing.
sell the ground off
There
to
was
move
no
over here for
point.
nothing.
The point for them was they get the sold the bowling. They believed in a dream. It was a dream, though, when you looked at it, and that's why I was against it from 2010. It was a dream that they could not afford. Basically, they never had the money to propel us. We've got. I've got a band 5 season ticket. I'm part of the problem. I'll only give them £300 of my money for a season ticket.
Same.
Yeah? That does not buy you top class players. Every time they open up a new bank of seats, they've got to be band 5 because the view's that bad.
Yeah.
So that's only £300. We've got 60,000 supposedly people here. Today it was probably 50,000 here, but they've got the money for 60,000. Newcastle are banking money, probably charging a bit more money than us. Arsenal can get 60,000 and they're paying a premium, £3,000 per season ticket. You know, our dearest season ticket is £1,000. That's why we would never compete. They have to sell it cheap here though. because the view's so poor
Yeah.
that when you compared it to the view that we had, they had to downgrade the prices because people were never going to pay the bowling prices.
There's just been a comment saying the only way that's going to affect them is if we do a walkout or when there's a live game.
Will it? Look,
Well, I don't know.
let me just finish. Let me just finish my. So moving to the stadium's worth 15.5 million a year. If you take the year before we moved was an exceptional year. Farewell to the bowling, we made a lot of money through merchandise and everything. The first year in the London Stadium was also a new year because it was a novelty value. So if we take the second to last year at the bowling and look at the second year in the London Stadium, our commercial revenue, which is what sponsorship and corporate hospitality, went up by 10 million a year. That's where the biggest aim is. We make a lot more on sponsorship and corporate hospitality. Hang on, you had your say. The second one is tickets. We're earning about £4 million a year. It's not a great amount, but between those two periods, £4.5 million a year. And the last one is retail. Pretty poor. It's only gone up by £1 million a year. Add them all together, 15.5 million a year. Is it worth it? I don't know. Is that enough? I don't know. 15.5 million a year sounds a lot of money to me. But what do you expect? I don't know what your expectations are. It's subjective. Do you want £100 million a year from moving the stadium? 15.5 million a year sounds pretty much to me.
I could live on it.
Yeah.
But you can't even buy a striker for that, mate.
Well, you can't because it's moved on.
Buy
But then-
Yarmolenko.
But
Which
you
we
know
did.
what? To go back to Nigel's point, at the end of the day, the only way we really are going to move on is put the ticket prices up, and everyone's going to moan about that. When the club tried to put the ticket prices up marginally, everyone was up in arms, weren't they? Oh my God, you said it was going to be affordable football when you put the season tickets up. Well, you can't have it both ways. If you want to spend all this money from season tickets needs to go up. We're the cheapest in London. You know, have a look at Spurs, have a look at Arsenal, have a look at Chelsea. How much they pay for a season ticket? You can't have it both ways. Cheap season tickets.
There's one thing that David Gold says that he's right about, and that if you look at ticket prices, it's generally conducive to where you finish in the league.
He wants another pint.
West Ham.
Who does?
Yeah, go
Go on
on,
then.
tuck in. So basically, the fact that we've got the cheapest ticket prices in London, look at where West Ham are compared to all the other London teams. Was it worth it? I suppose there's 20,000 more people watching football.
But let me
No,
just.
we did not say fans or supporters.
But let me
we
just
said
say.
20,000 more
Let me
people.
just say one more point. We pay nearly £3 million a year, right? So we're also saving money on what we'd have paid. If we hadn't have taken over this stadium and we'd had to redevelop bowling grounds, which I know you wanted, we would have had to invest probably 200-300 million, which we would have borrowed to pay it up. How much do you think it costs?
Shut up. Right, East Stand would have cost.
No, you'd have to redevelop the whole lot.
There's only one stand to wrap it up. There's one stand. If you met the East Stand on the equivalent of West Stand,
Concrete
that's all we
cancer.
wanted.
There was concrete cancer
No,
at the bowling ground,
no,
and the
no,
place needed to be knocked down and redeveloped.
No, it was built.
Not all of it, only one
Not all
side
of
of
it.
it.
The
One
oldest
side
stand
of
was the
it.
East Stand. It was built in 1968.
Because they kept the gaps for that, didn't they? They kept the gaps for the.
They would
for the
have built a
ground.
new East Stand. We've seen the plans. At the time, they'd have built it. It would have cost
How
them
much?
£15 million to build.
Not in today's.
But
was
what
there
you
as
got
well.
to remember is it would have cost them 15 million to build. Where coming here, they banked
But still, a
15
couple of things.
million.
We have not even found a sponsor for the ground. 4 or 5 years
No, it's
later.
not- it's not
our
been us,
strand to
it's
get a
not our
sponsor.
ground.
No, but
The London E20.
no, but I'm sure we've got our 2 bobs in there. And the other thing
No,
is,
we haven't got our 2 bobs in there. It's not our stadium.
no, but the other thing is, when you talk about corporate boxes, they're only at one end of the ground. Like I'll sit on the
Yeah,
Billy
but
Bond
it's-
stand.
it's
There's
not
nothing
boxes anymore.
there.
Boxes are so old hat. What happens
but you make a
now?
lot of money from them,
No,
don't you?
it's corporate people sitting in restaurants now. We've got 3,600.
No, but we've got
corporate
none on the
members.
Billy Bond side. There's nothing there.
Yeah, who want to sit there?
No, but that's where the club will make the money. Isn't it? If we had
the
that,
Spurs ground, they've got boxes all the way around the stadium.
yeah, you make more money that way,
Boxes
don't
are
you?
what
And
make
who
the
wants to
ground.
watch them? No one.
No,
Let's get
everyone
everything
knows.
else.
That's the thing, isn't it? But the thing is, where the money is
Money
at
comes
is
in,
in
doesn't
boxes,
it? Yeah.
and boxes at our ground is on one half of it. And if you look at them, they're pretty
And
shambolic.
still, didn't they
Not very
say
well
that we are
developed.
right close? London
be
is
fair.
on par with New York in terms of banking, finance, and money. We can see it here.
Yeah,
And they said, oh yeah, all those guys will be
Hands
here.
Canary Wharf.
And it never happened. So I don't know how many many boxes of Bank America?
That's
City
because they're
Bank,
all Man U
JP
fans, for
Morgan?
fuck's
Yeah,
sake.
exactly.
That's why they're not here.
£400 to watch
All that
West
money's at
Brom.
your doorstep.
Right, I need to wrap this up
Yeah, you
because
do need
my
to wrap
hands are absolutely frozen solid. Last words.
Go on.
Where are we going? Where are we heading? Are we going down? Sean?
I think we'll just survive because there's teams around us that are shit, and that's where David Moyes needs to regroup, get scouting in, get young, hungry players in the summer. I just hope that there are 3 teams that are shitter than us, and I think they will. I think we'll survive. Just.
Dan? Are we going down?
No, we will continue like we did today. A typical David Moyes game where you scrape out a point, and hopefully that will be enough to keep us up.
Nigel?
I think we're going to struggle with points in the next 5 or 6 games, but don't worry, we'll finish about 15th.
Jazz?
Unwinnable games in 7 out of the next 10. 2 already down for me, Bournemouth and Norwich. We'll finish 5th from bottom. And big job for David next year and a half, I think, sort it out.
Right.
So we'll just about get away from
Forget
it.
about
Dan-
next level, people. That's what I
Yeah.
say.
There never has
Yeah,
been.
we're here.
Dan, can you wrap up? Because my hands are absolutely frozen
Thank you
solid.
very much for watching. We could stand there all night. It's a bit like around
a
the
bit
kitchen
nippy.
table at the end of a party. But thank you for watching. Remember, we're here every home game at the Supporters Club. Absolutely heaving in here today. Football on the box. Tunes coming out of the speakers.
No.
What more could you want? Food, jugs of beer on offer. 15 quid for Foster's.
Yeah, maybe.
Get down here. Thank you very much. See you next week. Still can't turn it off.
Oh, God.
Yes,